Welcome to a USDA webinar. Today's webinar will be about connecting summer meals sponsors and sites with wholesome free food. So welcome and thanks for being here. I'd like to start off the webinar by doing a quick fun little poll to see if everyone is still awake this afternoon. In light of Prince's tragic passing, I want to see what is your favorite Prince song. So if everyone can just vote on that. If you think those songs that we have out there, like When Doves Cry and Raspberry Beret, were too mainstream, you could always select other if you have a little more obscure song that you like. And I'm going to let Kelly Runzel, one of our presenters on this webinar, announce to you the winning song. I would first like to start off by saying that the USDA has an intense focus on reducing food waste. As many of you may have heard, last year in September, our USDA Secretary Vilsack announced the first ever national goals to reduce food waste. He announced these food waste reduction goals with EPA Administrator Gina McCarthy, and the goal is to reduce food waste by 50% by the year 2030, and this also mirrors the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which has in their goals a 50% reduction of food waste by 2030. So this issue is picking up a lot of momentum, and the USDA is looking at all of their programs to see where we can have an impact. And one of the ways we can have an impact is in the Summer Meals program. So let me first begin by talking to you about our stance on using gleaned and rescued food in summer meals. We encourage the use of it, and we have in that link on the slide that you'll see, we'll send the slides out to all the participants afterwards, and you can check out that resource. But in that resource, we kind of break up the donated foods, gleaned foods, and rescued foods into 4 categories. First, there's field gleaning. We encourage using crops from farmers' fields that have already been harvested or that are still in the field in summer meals. We also encourage the use of perishable food products from wholesale and retail stores, wholesale stores like grocery stores, and you can also get some perishable foods from restaurants who have excess. And then there's non-perishable food collection, using processed foods with long shelf life. We encourage that. And lastly, there's prepared food rescue, which is using food that's already been prepared from most likely the food service industry. We allow this, but it's not recommended due to some food safety concerns. But if you feel like you have a good food safety system already in place in your summer meals program, then you can go ahead and work with your local health department to see what you can do. Okay, so here's another poll question to see if you all are still lively out there. As a summer meals site or sponsor, do you incorporate gleaned or donated food items into your meals? And it looks like a lot of no's, which is not surprising. That's why you're here today, to learn how you can do it. And there are some people that do incorporate it, so that's great. If you want, you could also share what you do in the chat box down below, and we can kind of read out some of your suggestions. I'm going to go to the next slide. Some of you may be asking, do we still get the reimbursement for meals that contain donated food? And the easy answer is yes. Summer meal sponsors will be reimbursed for meals served regardless of how much donated food is used in the meal. So you can use if 5% of your meal is made from donated food, then you'll still get reimbursed full amount of the summer meals reimbursement. And if you use 100% of your summer meals come from donated food, you will still get the reimbursement. Obviously, the reimbursement can only be used on allowable costs, operating costs, administrative costs, and there's a resource there to kind of get an idea of what those allowable costs are. And then lastly, if you have excess summer meals, which a lot of you do encounter, we at the USDA encourage that you transfer those excess meals to other summer meal sites that may have a later meal service so that you can use them there. You could also make sure they're stored properly, and you can then use them at subsequent meal services the next day. And lastly, as a last resort, you can donate the excess summer meals to a local hunger relief organization. And then there's a link on that slide where you can kind of get more details on our stance on food donation in our child nutrition programs. So let's hop to another poll. This is a poll-heavy webinar because we want to hear your thoughts. As a summer meal site or sponsor, what do you do with the majority of your excess meals? So you might do a combination of each, but what do you do with most of your meals? And it looks like a lot of you are really great at reducing food waste, and you're storing and reusing it the next day. But then a lot of you just throw it away. So we will definitely talk about what you can do to avoid throwing those excess summer meals away, keeping it out of the landfills, and putting them in the stomachs of people that need it.